There are, as I said before, there are various forces that drive this poem. Science is one. So I am interested in how did humans emerge, under what conditions, what is it that makes us different from other creatures. And naturally that led me to Africa. Then there was another political concern that enters into the issue, into the mix, and that is Africa seems to me to be a possible place for a new civilization to arise. In order for that to happen, Africa has to shed its colonial past. And its colonialism and the abuse of the superpowers, that becomes an inextricable part of the poem. It is, of course, also an attempt to examine what kind of creature we are, that we will go and enslave, brutalize, and so forth. I return to these questions all the time. So Africa gave me a chance to, first of all, to understand what it means to be human. When did that moment arise, or was there such a moment? In the poem there is a moment in which a creature, a primate, recognizes himself in a river, in the image of a river. And that is the first step towards self-consciousness. That's me. When you take, where I wrote this poem, the blue jays or cardinals would come to the window, and if I imitated their voice, they saw themselves in the window, they thought it was another bird. They didn't say, oh, that's me. This recognition that that image out there is me is the beginning of being human. That and language. And so that was one of the things that I explored in this poem. You will find that it's a poem, it's a dramatic poem. I seem to be a dramatist by nature. There are always voices contradicting each other usually, tugging this way and tugging that way. I think that nature, to me, the universe is an essentially dynamic phenomenon where opposites are forever, well, in a kind of balance, but they're always struggling one to overtake the other. And that's what happens in this poem, where I look out the window as I'm writing and see the relatively peaceful nature on the surface of where I am, in Glengarry County, not that far from here. And then I jump to the science of it all, what we now understand about our DNA that gives us, that's a kind of, what should I call it, a kind of textbook for the construction of a human being. It's also a history book. It records every stage of our evolution. We are still worms, although we are also other things. I mean, I find all this terribly exciting. And the African, and one other thing that that concerned me and that I discovered, I went to Africa before I wrote this poem. I can't write these things in the abstract. I went to the Rift Valley where humanity is supposed to have emerged, and there's good reason to believe that that was so, to get a feel for the environment, you know, for the landscape, for the ground. And one of the things that I discovered there, and that sort of contradicts some of the notions that some people have about human beings, that we are aggressive. You know, we are by nature aggressive. We are by nature given to war, because that's our animal nature. Well, that's a very insulting view of animals. I have observed animals, lions, leopard, tigers, what you name it, in nature, and you would be amazed at the amount of cooperation. I think much more fundamental to us is the need to cooperate, to collaborate, than the need to aggressively fight. Animals in the wilderness are aggressive only when it comes to eating, survival, and when it comes to mating, survival of the gene. Otherwise, they can be beautifully peaceful. It's only humans who torture each other for no reason whatsoever, or for emotional reasons, of course. So that was something that I discovered in Africa, and I was quite pleased to find that it echoed something that I think I had believed before, but I had never seen it in action. You can sit in the evening around a watering place, and different animals will come and drink, and they won't trouble each other. If one of them is hungry and out hunting, well, look out.